Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to talk a little bit about Ripple. I want to talk about XRP because there's an article that's out where the Ripple CTO tries to offer answers for the lack of adoption. Now, I wanted to share some of my perspectives on this a little bit before I get into the article, because ultimately I'm an XRP holder, and I do believe in what they've been trying to establish with XRP. And I know that the XRP army is wide and vast. And the one thing that I want to give credit to Ripple for is the fact that there are so many cryptocurrency projects that come to market with very specific expectations, milestone plans, roadmaps, things that they want to accomplish. And then they tuck tail and run as soon as they think that that's getting a little shaky, or it's not going to make them as much money as they had originally intended. And then they jump to this idea and that idea and so forth and so on. And Ripple's been very clear about specifically what XRP is, what the company is all about, what they're trying to accomplish. The remittance game is a very big business. And the idea that Ripple is going to bring on all of these different banking institutions to adopt a cryptocurrency, centralized or not, and utilize it for the idea that they're going to handle all of the remittance payments and all of the global transactions throughout the world and all this other stuff, and ultimately decrease the amount of capital that's being tied up for weeks on end at high interest rates, or high fees rather. It's a lofty goal. And I think one of the reasons why personally XRP is having trouble being adopted in as high a numbers as they were hoping for is because now a lot of these banks are going to be coming out with their own tokens, their own stable coins and the like. I think that ultimately the banks are more likely to adopt those than something from an outside source. Now, what I do believe at some point that may be possible is if Ripple not necessarily sells the rights to use or tries to establish these business relationships with XRP itself, but ultimately, and it's not necessarily great news for XRP unless they figure out a way to facilitate it through transactions, but if they basically say, hey, this is what we do. This is what we've been doing for years now. We know the market. We know the system. We have the technology. Let us help you facilitate even the use of your own stable token, but we also need to include the use of XRP for some of these transactions, so forth and so on. I don't know exactly how they're going to pull out of this, or if they're going to keep continuing to push forward. And there may be a chance that they stop focusing so much on some of the bigger players in the market, but rather start laying a foundation with smaller banking institutions that may actually adopt the token, start building and proving its use case even further, which they have been doing. It's just slower than most of us had hoped, especially the CETO or the CTO, as we're going to see here. So Ripple CTO tries to offer answers for lack of adoption. Community expectations have long been that banks would adopt XRP, but the reality has been very disappointing. I threw very in. Sorry, I had to add a word. Amid a difficult year for the payments-focused cryptocurrency, Ripple CTO David Schwartz has recently taken to Twitter to discuss with community members why banks have been reluctant to adopt XRP as a bridge. During an exchange with a member of the Ripple community last week, Schwartz explained that there are a set of obstacles Ripple is facing that has led to banks' reluctance to use XRP to settle cross-border transactions. Schwartz wrote that he sees issues such as regulatory uncertainty. That's been how everything's been since the beginning, really. Last mile problems, fear of reprisals from existing partners, as preventing widespread adoption. Schwartz also stated that another reason for the bank's reluctance to adopt XRP on a large scale is that the product is very new and it will take more time to gain the appropriate momentum. That's true. That's true as well to an extent, I'm sure. They've been active enough now and have been able to build enough of a use case and proof of concept, proof of use, all that stuff, and an established history of working with other banks. I don't necessarily see how that is as big of an issue over basically a lot of these banks wanting to create their own stable tokens. I mean, that's just really the way I see things. The comments come amid a rough patch for the currency as its holders. XRP is down 18.6% on the year and down over 90% from all-time highs. Additionally, PayPal did not include XRP in this list of cryptocurrencies it would offer. That is a big blow. But again, PayPal works like a bank with the banks. So if the banks don't want it, PayPal's not necessarily going to support it and bring it on. So there's definitely a very big network of relationships associated with banking. They're all scratching each other's backs. They're all working together. And I mean, quite frankly, I mean, it's no secret anymore how a lot of these banks basically went off to some island somewhere and basically dictated the Federal Reserve and how it was going to work and how they were all going to benefit from it. Whether they believed at the time that it was going to be a benefit to society or not, they all work together, even though they're all supposedly competing with one another. Ripple investors are not the only ones feeling the pain, however. Earlier this month, Cointelegraph also reported that in 2012, Schwartz sold 40,000 Ethereum at $1 each. Ultimately, they're basically adding insult to injury here. So, look, ultimately, I still think that if we look at the past and we look at the history of cryptocurrencies and altcoins especially, XRP has been one that has withstood the test of time and always receives, even if it's solely based on speculative investors' interest, XRP has always done exceedingly well in a bull market. And I don't really see that changing in this next bull market either. Honestly, I think that it's been hanging steady, but so is Ethereum. Pretty much anything that isn't DeFi or Bitcoin has been pretty much hanging steady for the most part throughout this bull market so far, with DeFi applications just sucking up a lot of liquidity, sucking up a lot of transactions, just sucking up the world of crypto right now. But it's also been slowly diminishing because the returns have been diminishing, and people are starting to see the volatility, the risk associated with investing their coins in DeFi. And now a lot of that money, in my opinion, is going into Bitcoin because people see Bitcoin's price rising. They're seeing a lot of the bullish sentiment established in articles and the like. And so they're putting their money back into Bitcoin because they want to be a part of the rise up to 14,000 and beyond. And if Bitcoin does in fact reach its original all-time high $20,000 by January, or like the 1st of January, at that point, that's when I see a lot of that profit going into the altcoins for much bigger returns over the next year and a half. Because you're not going to get, from that point, you're not going to get a 20, 30x return on Bitcoin. Even if it goes from 20 grand to 100 grand, you're not getting a 20x return or a 30x return, which is great. But people want to see that in the altcoins, and it's going to be a lot easier to throw 10 cents on Cardano, wait for it to hit $3 or $4 at the peak of the market. If it does, something like XRP, which if it just goes back to its original all-time high, it's going to do very, very well. So that's what I'm ultimately looking at. I'm not expecting miracles right now in the short term or throughout 2020 with the election going on and everything else, but I really think that a lot of the stuff is going to start really making sense to people in 2021. And I think that's when we're going to start seeing a lot of the altcoin adoption. We're going to start seeing a lot of big releases, a lot of big partnerships coming. And I think XRP is going to be in that basket of fruit as well. So until next time, guys, crow your coins. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you soon.